Welcome to Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt of the Marquardt Law Firm at marquardtlawfirm.com.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt here with Amy Childs, who is an executive coach and Vistage chair. We'll tell you a little bit about Vistage in a few moments. I want to invite those business owners, C-suite level executive officers, CEOs, chief operating officers, however you're helping to run the business, to join us in a seminar on September 21st at the Dominion Country Club. We're going to be talking about how to make good decisions in business and how to protect the business from predators, judgments, liens, and how to protect yourself if you're a CEO or C-suite level executive officer when you find that your financial success and growth and wealth is maybe subject to attack. So register by calling the law office at 210-530-4278. Again, we're inviting business owners, C-suite level executives who want to know more about protecting their business and making good business decisions. So, Amy, you were talking about before the break how it was different to be a coach for executives and business owners rather than just a consultant with some business experience. What are some issues that you think business owners are facing right now? You talk to a lot of your own clients, and you probably talk to other people who are undecided about whether or not they need a consultant or a business coach. What are some issues that are prevalent right now?
Yeah, I would say the number one thing that I hear from people is the fear of uncertainty. What's the economy going to do? What's the market doing? Are we in a recession? Are we at the beginning? Are we in an unrecession? When will we be in a depression? There's a lot of uncertainty right now that I don't know is different as we have come out of COVID. We've all learned there's always been uncertainty, but what do we do with it?
I had decided back in 2008 that I would not participate in recession, and I had no idea then that I was going to keep facing this over and over again.
Right, exactly. I don't know that we're going to be in a period of certainty ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so you hear that a lot from business owners, and so you can't give them certainty. Mm-mm. And so what can you do? What are some tools that you use?
Yeah, I always say I wish I had that certainty pill that could fix it all. And a lot of times people don't want to hear it of what is the fix. The fix is the mind. The fix is managing the thoughts, managing your mind, telling yourself a story that's really true instead of always living in a story that you don't know. And that's a hard thing. It's a lot harder said than done.
And so how do you process that?
Managing the mind. A lot of times we work with just basic breathing, figuring out what your triggers are, knowing yourself. One of the other areas that I really believe in is emotional intelligence, which is understanding and managing your emotions.
Oh, how is that different from intelligence, like IQ?
Yeah, you're not born with it. You're not born with emotional intelligence, whereas personality, oftentimes even an IQ test, is a genetic factor, something you're born with. It's going to stay with you. Emotional intelligence is developmental. You can impact it. It peaks between the ages of 44 and 55, which is usually my clientele. Although I love also doing emotional intelligence with college-age kids and young adults as they're working towards finding their career.
So how can my emotional intelligence help me with uncertainty in the economy and politics and employee performance and et cetera?
Yeah, so capturing what is the story that you're telling yourself about the economy and politics and employees. We make up stories in our brain for survival. It's the caveman brain, and neurologists know this, and neuroplasticity is a huge buzzword right now. Our brain is out there to protect us from danger, but sometimes we need to capture those thoughts and try to tell ourselves what is really true about this situation.
And so your work with emotional intelligence comes from another certification that you got, right?
I did. I went and got certified at Rice University through their Door Institute of Leadership. They do a lot of emotional intelligence coaching for all their engineers and doctors. And I felt that was another important tool that I wanted to be able to help people with.
And there's a book out there. I had the book, I think it was Emotional Intelligence 2.0 or something like that.
2.0, yes. And it has evolved from Daniel Goleman and the original emotional intelligence. And we hear now positive intelligence, we hear emotional agility, but the idea of being able to adapt your emotions to the situation without derailing is critical.
Mm-hmm. What is something else another certification that you've achieved and use as a tool to helping your businesses?
Yeah, so most recently I really dived into change management and the importance of understanding what the change story is. How do I implement change? How do I get my ambassadors on board? How do I understand what the obstacles to change are? Again, the human brain does not like change.
And that becomes important when a business has been growing over a period of time and is changing.
Always,
right?
Always. You're either growing or you're dying.
And
you're always changing.
Some people in the business, even though they might be your employees or your partners, might not understand your vision like you do.
Yes, well, when I always do a seminar, I ask business owners, what's the number one problem that you face? And they usually say people, because they're the unknown. They're the variable. Whether they're your employees or your customers or your clients, your vendors, your contractors, we are individuals as people. And so there is no one book on how to manage change because we have to learn to adapt to people.
And they might be good at what they do, but just not understand what you're going for.
Right. Well, and the other piece to emotional intelligence is also understanding other people's emotions.
Mm-hmm.
What's triggering them? What are they dealing with in their personal life, in their professional life that might be affecting how they're interacting with you?
I wanted to bring you on the show because in my mind as a business attorney, the decisions that a business owner or C-level person makes affects whether or not they're going to be subject to lawsuits and risk and those kinds of things. And I see your role as a way of helping a business to protect itself, by not making bad decisions, by seeing blind spots in the business that maybe they're not aware of. So let's talk about the other side of what you do, the peer advisory group that you facilitate and chair.
Okay,
Tell
sure.
us what Vistage is.
Yeah. So when you are making decisions, they're complicated and there's a lot of different factors, and sometimes we can't see all the different elements. So surrounding yourself with other business owners in different industries, they don't all have to be in the same industry that you're at. You still have the same issues. You have hiring issues, you have personnel issues, you have payroll issues, cash flow. They can see things that oftentimes you can't see and help suggest ideas. And a lot of times, too, it's just the camaraderie to say, yeah, I understand what that feels like to have to let an employee go. It's one of the most awful things a business owner goes through. And then the fear of litigation and what if they sue is always running around in business owners' minds.
I think this is just my own philosophy that a business that continues for a long period of time is probably going to get sued or have to sue somebody else, just because it's in business. They teach us in law school that a lawsuit, a broken contract is not necessarily good or bad. It's just, was somebody damaged? Well, you have to pay the damages. And you have to enforce your rights if you're the person that was on the receiving end of the bad deal. And so that's why I say it's going to happen, and you probably need some help running the business as you're going through this war.
Sure.
Which, if you've ever been through litigation, you understand it as a war. And so I see the value of having a coach and a peer advisory group, because it's hard enough to handle all of the day-to-day issues of running the business, satisfying the customers, making sure employees are productive. That's every day. But then you have to figure out a way to handle everything that's going on, including this lawsuit or this sick employee, and also move forward to growth.
Right. And another big piece of being in a peer group is confidentiality, and being able to be really honest with your fears and with what's going on. And so that's why there's a huge value to a group like Vistage, where you do have confidentiality and you have the support of one another. And as you know, you stay in Vistage for years with your fellow business owners.
Mm-hmm. And so tell us more specifics about how the Vistage model works.
So there's a couple components to it. One is the peer group that we meet every month for a full day, and I bring in coaching content. We bring in great speakers to talk about accounting, accountability, marketing, SEO, optimization, whatever the issue is of the month that we need to bring in. And then we process issues. Every member gets to check in and say, this is what's on my plate. This is what I need help with in terms of making a better decision. Or this is what I haven't been able to talk to somebody else about. Should I be worried? Those types of issues that they get to talk about. We spend the whole day processing it with a facilitated coach. I also individually coach each member throughout the month. I go to their office and we meet and we dive even deeper into what's really going on, what's working well for you and what's not working well, and how can we take action to make it better.
Yeah, I really like the model. I didn't even know it existed until Scott McMurray told me about it in April of 2019. And again, I didn't know what I was, how badly I was going to need it just a few months later when COVID hit. But I knew at that point in April 2019 that I didn't want to participate in a recession, and there were some economists saying that there was going to be a slowdown or something like that. And I said, I don't want to do that. I want this Vistage program to help me fight that and to grow. I wanted to grow. And because of COVID, of course, the recession did come, and the mayor shut down the city and tried to keep everybody from working. But we continued meeting and navigating, well, what can we do? How can we continue business? But I also remembered an experience I had with a consultant, and how my consultant was my firefighter. And every week I would have a new emergency come up, and he would tell me how to solve it, but that became exhausting. And so I'll tell you after the break how that's all changed.
This has been Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt, brought to you by the Marquardt Law Firm. You can learn more at marquardtlawfirm.com. And be sure to listen to the full Talk Law Radio show Saturday mornings at 11 on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Each week, attorney Todd Marquardt talks about the law. His mission with the Talk Law radio show and podcast is to help you discover your legal issue blind spots. In the beginning, God had one law. Don't eat from the fruit of that tree. Then came the 10 Commandments. Now we have federal, state, and municipal lawmakers that won't stop creating new laws. Laws that might impact you without you knowing it. Listen to the show and drop a line on Facebook or email host@talklawradio.com and let the host know what you think of the show, the topics you want to hear, and whether you want to be a guest.